your engine.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of, I don't know what we would call this. I guess we call it Gun Guys Talking About Cars, because people have been asking me to do a car chat. You know, we've done wrestling chats and stuff like that in the past, but people wanted to just talk cars. Now, will it be a big successful thing that we do often? Probably not. There's probably not a lot of us in here that are into cars. I've always found that most gun lovers, though, do like cars. They like dogs and cars. More so dogs than cars, but it's just getting to where it's less frequent nowadays that anybody knows anything about their car or appreciates anything about their car. As long as they push the gas pedal and it goes, they're happy. They don't care what it sounds like, looks like. Well, unless you tell them electric car and then they scream that, oh, give me gas. And you say, why? And they're like, I don't know. It's what I was told I should think. But electric cars are just fine. In fact, they're superior in most ways to gas cars. But let's talk about cars. If anybody's got anything they want to talk about, just let me know. Everybody knows I like cars. Once every year, I go down, and that's my birthday present to myself, is that I trade in my old car and get me another one. I will always have a car payment, and that's fine. Once I get too old to appreciate cars anymore, I'll stop doing that. And people will say, well, you could have put away so much money by not having a car payment. Yes, I could have. But by the time I would need that money, I'll be too old to enjoy it. I'd rather enjoy having the cars now. People think you must have a lot of money to trade your car in every year. No, I don't have a lot of money, specifically because of trading my car in every year. I would have more money if I didn't do that. I'm not wealthy. I just make bad financial decisions. And I think a lot of people in here, especially people who love guns, can relate to that. So I do like my cars. I tend to like a big, loud V8. It's just my own personal preference, but I appreciate an electric car too. I mean, Elantra N, I'd take one of those in a minute. If someone pulled in my driveway right now and said, I'll trade you straight across, brand new Elantra N, not the Elantra N, no, excuse me, I'm saying the wrong car. The Ion 5, the Ionic 5 N, that's the one I would take. So in a second, if you've never seen that thing it's cool looking, little hatchback looking thing, but it just rips too. So I would take that. Got lots of cool features. In a minute, I'd trade my Mustang for it. Now, in about a year, I'd probably be missing the loud V8 and I'd go back to another V8, but if there's still any existence. But let's go over here and see if we got any questions coming in or anything from the viewers who want to talk cars, show off their cars or anything like that. Let's see. We got a couple questions here. Recommendations for tires on a 1500 Silverado, 20-inch rims, have Falcon wind peaks on the last couple times. Wondering if there is something better. Hail Phil, please protect our automobiles. He will. If you pay your tithes, he'll protect your automobile. Well, he'll at least try. Them thieves is pretty sneaky sometimes. It's just the truth. He can't be everywhere all the time. You know, I don't know a lot about truck tires, to be honest with you. I've had good luck in the past with the Goodyear Wranglers, although it looks funny when you're tired to say Wrangler if it's not a Jeep, but you just turn them the other way and you never see that. I always put my whites inside in anyway. I don't like them facing out. I like my whites in, unless it's like a certain kind of car. Then a white wall will look good, but I just don't like the type being whited or actually super visible. So, but yeah, I don't know a lot about truck tires. Anybody here know a lot about truck tires? I mean, I don't even remember what I got on my 94 Silverado out there, and we just put tires on it a couple years ago. I don't remember what it was. We don't need to do it very often because, you know, it's got 130,000 miles on it, and it's how old is that car now? 30 something years old. So it's older than either of my kids. So not a real big truck tire guy. And I've always found too that the truck tires most people like, I don't really care for. All weather is about as hard as I want to go on a truck tire. A lot of people like the all-terrains, and I'm like, I don't go off-road enough. Of course, now I live out here in the boonies with dirt roads and stuff, so maybe one would be better now. I don't do a lot of highway driving because I don't go anywhere. So all terrains would probably be better for me now because the ride's a little rougher with them. But I probably wouldn't notice as much because I'm not going very far on paved roads. So, but as far as the brand, I just don't know a lot about truck tires. Tires is one of the things I've always been poor. So it was like whatever's on sale. Give me whatever tires are on sale when I was younger. Let me move on here. Feel free, people in the chat, to answer Clinton Barella there on the tire question. We also got John Baloney Jr. chiming in, says, I checked all my holsters tonight. None of the trigger guards area shows the outline of the trigger. All mine are good to go. Thanks. Well, you're late on that. That was for the last chat. That's not car related. Also, we got a couple of emails coming here I want to share. Share screen, Winder. This is from Paul Bidenbach. He's showing us the front end of his Tacoma, the mods he's put on it. Looks like he put a light there, a winch. Probably those toe. Oh, it says up here, doesn't it? New bumper, winch, light bar. Yeah, so the bumper's new. You know, I'm torn on the shorty bumpers. I don't know if I want the shorties like this, you know, how they don't extend out, or do I want the brush guard more, more of a out extended part? I'm not sure. It really depends on the vehicle. I mean, this looks great on this vehicle, but I'm always kind of questioning about the shorty bumpers. Then we got another email here from Ghost Shadow. He's showing us some of his cars that he's had in the past so that he can make us think he used to be cool. Because we all know he's not cool now, but oh, that's nice. Not the Hyundai, although there's nothing wrong with the Hyundai either. That's very nice. That's very utilitarian. I've always wanted a Land Cruiser, one of the old ones, but and that's nice. Although he's in Alaska, so why did you block out your license plate? That's silly. That's nice. I had the same body style. Mine was not a convertible, and mine was the V8, so it had the big lights in the front. But which I don't know if I like those or not. Because if you remember the V8s had the big double fog lamps in the grill, and they were bigger than the grill kind of. But I liked the smaller ones on the V6 better. In fact, I was one of those people that would take the grill off and put the V6 grill on to have the smaller lights. I didn't like them. If I'd have kept the car, I would have done that. I don't even know what that is, but it looks pretty cool. That I do believe is a kit. And that is a kit, it looks like. It looks cool, though. I do believe it's a kit car. I don't know what's on, probably a Volkswagen or something. Well, no, it couldn't be a Volkswagen because the engine's in the front, so I don't know what's on. I think that's the engine for that, right? Am I not crazy, am I? Little Suzuki. I like those little Suzukis. I like, especially like the ones where it's up real high and the cab has to tilt forward to get to the engine. These little Suzukis and Isuzus. You got him a Yamaha. He looks like he's running snow with all them big wide tires, but what's snowy there? But see, he's had some nice cars, trying to make us think he used to be cool before he became what he is now. Let's see if we got any more questions coming in over here. Peter Chirper, what does it say? Hold on. Let me show the screen here. He says, hey, Yankee, just sent in a quick video of my little 85 GT on a chassis dyno. John Baloney Jr. Let's see. I've never had my car dyno, any of my cars dynoed. I think I would if I put a supercharger on this car. If I decided to keep this car, which I always say that I'm eventually going to keep a car and then just put a supercharger on it once the warranty expires. but I have never done it. If I did that, I'd take it, have it tuned, I'd have it dyno tuned to make sure it's doing well. Because, you can tune it without a dyno, but I want a dyno tune if I'm going to put a supercharger on. So might do that. Don't know. What is with all these convertibles? Why do people love their cars convertibles? I've never liked convertibles. To me, they always just leak. Of course, like I say, I've always been poor, and when they go bad, I can't afford a new top. But yeah, convertibles. Just never been a fan of convertibles. Now, hard top convertibles I like. The ones that like fold back, but not the soft tops. Jacoby Villa chimed in here and said, I'm about to serve. Oh, wait, I read that already. It's the one below it I want to read. Does your spouse still have the Mustang Mach-E? No, that was traded in right before my car got stolen. In fact, I get accused of staging my cars being stolen. I paid someone to steal it so that I could buy a new car. And I'm like, bitch, if I want to buy a new car, I just buy a new car. Don't tell me what I do, what I don't do. You ain't the boss of me. If so, how is it held up? Also, what's going to be the next ride after your new Mustang? I don't know, no clue. I would kind of like to get one of those Volkswagen ID Buzz, get a green one and make it look like the Mystery Machine. Get it wrapped to be like the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. Even though I wasn't a big Scooby-Doo fan, I think that would just be very cool. I'm sure someone's already done it, but I'd like to do it. But there's all kinds of things I think, I'm getting older. I might need to get something that I can get in and out of easier. Might go for comfort next time. Probably go for comfort and power combined, see what I can find. I also thought about getting a Bronco. I never have had one of the Broncos. I think they're just terribly overpriced, but now they're coming down in price quite a bit. So might go get one of those. Jacoby Neath says, I have a super cute Mitsubishi Mirage, orange in color. What kind of firearm go great with that? Well, anything with an orange grip. What about that Tactical orange from CZ? Although I wouldn't suggest carrying that gun. Trigger is way too light. That gun is way scary. People think the 320 is scary. That gun has a manual safety, and it's still scarier than the 320. I don't even like shooting it. I'm afraid of double fires. So, yeah, I don't like it. But yeah, whatever. Just the grips are what matter. I mean, you're not going to get an orange gun. So the grips are what matter, unless you got a gun that has you can Cerakote the frame of. Like if you had a Glock, you can Cerakote the frame orange if you want. I don't know if I'd recommend that though, because it's going to look like a training gun. But maybe the police won't shoot first. Yeah, that's funny. Let's see here. Where are we at over here? Where were we at over here? What was the oldest car you have owned and drove? Well, I've driven some old cars. The old crank them and pop down the road, like in parades and stuff, and just to have fun, like go to the county fair and pay $5 or whatever to ride around an old vintage car or something. So I've driven some really old ones. I think the oldest I've ever owned, like I had for myself. I had a chance to get a really nice old 57 Fairlane, but I was an idiot and was honest. I should have kept it. But I think the oldest I've ever owned is a 66 Volkswagen Beetle. And it wasn't that old when I had it. 66 was not as old as my truck is now. My truck is now way older than that 66 Beetle was when I had it. So, oh no, wait, that was a 65. The 66 is the one I had later. So, and then I had a 68. So yeah, probably a 65 Volkswagen Beetle, the oldest one I've ever had. I always wanted Type 4, never got one. Did you hear anything about the fuel generating solar chip they got working at Berkeley? Water, atmospheric CO2, and sunlight can make fuel for the future. I don't doubt it. I haven't seen anything about it, but I don't doubt it. 3/4 of the stuff we have today, they would have said was impossible, 50 years ago. So I don't rule anything out. That's why I always say, like, about climate change and stuff, when they're always like, oh, we got to stop doing this and stop doing that. Well, we're not going to get every country to stop doing that. Some will, some won't. What we need to do is find something that takes all the undesirable stuff out of the atmosphere, turns it into something usable. Like maybe it pulls out everything and turns them into carbon nanotubes or whatever that we could build houses out of. Cleans the environment and builds a house. I think technology is our biggest chance to survive long term. Let's see here. What do you think about Hyundai? Like I said, that Hyundai Ioniq 5N, I would take that in a second. Would love to have one. I think most of them are kind of cool little cars. I don't know about their longevity, but I mean, I know they're way better now than they used to be. When they first came around, they were bare bones cars. Now they're performing up there with a lot of other bigger manufacturers. But did I ever answer the question about the Mach-E? No, we don't still have it. It was holding up great. It's a great driving car, way better than the Tesla. It drove way better. The technology was a notch below the Tesla, but the performance and handling were way above the Tesla. Or just a little bit above the Tesla. And the actual build quality was night and day from the Tesla. All the seams lined up, everything worked, everything felt sturdy. The Tesla, first time you use the hooks for laundry, they ain't going back up again. You're going to have to get them replaced. Every other time you close the back end, the trim around the window would fall off. Eventually you'd have to come replace it because the tabs wear out from being put back on so much. All the body parts were out of alignment. You have to have them come do your trunk and your hood, and then you have to have them come do your hood again after it gets back out of alignment. So they were garbage quality wise. Took my car in cause having transmission problems. Mechanic said, oh no, it's the catalytic converter causing the trans not to work right. A week later, my trans burnt up. Well, did you not replace the catalytic converter? I would have replaced the catalytic converter if that's really what was wrong. Plus, you just think that happened. That's what they programmed into your existence in your little vat of goo up there in Iowa. What do you think of a stripped down car with basic engine, power steering, air conditioning, and less electronics for the affordable price? Will it sell or not? Well, I think there's a huge market for that. I mean, if there was like a $15,000 car out there that still had the basics but was not anything fancy, I think there'd be a big market for it. Although I don't know, because you got the little Mitsubishi that you can get for $17,000 nowadays, and some people buy it, but it's one of the only options for that, something that's in a cheap range. Like the Mitsubishi, I think, is the cheapest car on the market now. You can buy new at like $17,000. So even cheaper than the Hyundai and the Kia. So, and it's supposedly a good little car. I'm surprised we don't see a lot more of them, but there's not a whole lot of them around. But I think there should be. I mean, you'd have to do something, though, to make it a little stylish, because now there's no real ugly cars. It's like all cars have kind of a cool vibe to them. So as long as you could find a way to make it look good and still just have the basics, like you said, air conditioning, you could probably even go to crank windows. I don't know why you would. I think it's probably just as expensive to make crank windows as it is to make electric windows nowadays. So, I mean, just make a car that you don't make a fortune off of. That's just for the people, like the people's car, like the Volkswagen, except for less communism and less racism. But I think there'd be a market for it. I mean, so many people can't afford cars. Look at all these people driving junkers because they couldn't afford a car. What is the fastest speed you've ever driven in a car? I don't know about saying the 160s. It was a Jaguar in Germany. So I think that's about the fastest I've ever gone in a car. But fastest I've ever driven my cars is like 140. Because once I get past 140, I get scared. I get scared. I don't have that gene that drives me to crave adrenaline. I don't need that. I can get an adrenaline rush just from someone saying boo. So I don't need that. So I don't go that fast. Jacob Nee said some of the biggest men drive the smallest cars. Yes, that's true. Back in Huntsville, Alabama, it's not the norm, but you see it and it stands out when you do see it. Back in Huntsville, Alabama, when the Miatas were first popular, there was a guy, I swear he must have been 500 pounds. He was at least 400 pounds. I'm going to say 500 for effect. He drove around in a Miata and literally his arm and one of his folds was always on the outside of the door. He only drove it when it was nice out. I don't think he ever put the top up. Probably garaged it. But he'd drive that thing around on nice days, one arm and one fold over the side of the door. And he looked, you remember how Chet, when she turned him into a pile of shit in Weird Science, it kind of looked like someone had jammed that into the car. And the guy worked at Marshall Space Flight Center, where I also worked there. But I didn't know him personally, but I'd see his car in the parking lot sometimes, and I'd see him riding around in it. I have a feeling people would give up reliability and longevity for Bluetooth and larger screens. Probably some people don't plan on keeping their car very long. I mean, like if they can get a cheap car that they'll get a couple of years out of, that's probably what they want out of it. And they're not really going to care. But I think most people want reliability and longevity, but some people can't think beyond the length of their nose. Jeffrey Vaughn says, used to put cheap cherry bomb mufflers on my vehicle when the original would rust out. Have you ever had a goofy car mod that you kept doing? Do you have a preferred set of dirt bike tires? Not really dirt bike tires either. Back when I used to ride motocross and stuff, whatever the bike came with, what I used usually, or whatever you get cheap. But as far as a weird mod, I still put graphics on all my cars. A lot of people would think that's weird. I loved that. I loved it since a kid. When I was a kid, I did it cheaper. I mean, I used to take an X-Acto knife and cut out shapes and stuff and put on my car and characters and stuff. I wish I had pictures of them because I did a pretty good job, made it look fairly professional. I've even airbrushed a car before, but I still do that. And I always have a co-pilot, a little, character on the dash. Usually it's a Funko Pop, not always, but sometimes it's a little statue or something. But usually nowadays it's a little Funko Pop. I've got one of Venom right on my dashboard of my Mustang now. And a lot of people would think that's strange. In fact, I don't know why, but for some reason, when I had that debate with that Randy dude, they kept going on about would you buy another Funko Pop? Look, you got Funko Pops back there. I'm like, yeah, I got a couple of them. What's wrong? I didn't understand how that was supposed to be an insult or an attack. But I guess to stupid people, anything can be an attack. Let's see here. Where was I at? Is Jeep the new Subaru? No, Jeep is just Jeep. And I will say, Jeeps are the worst cars I've ever owned. No, I loved them because it was a Jeep. But that's the problem with Jeeps. They suck. People just love them because they love Jeep. They love what they represent. They love what people think they do when they see them. They see my Jeep and they think I'm off-roading every weekend, rock climbing and blah, 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 when really they're never doing any of that. And why would you? Why would you do that with a new Jeep? Why would you go out rock climbing with a brand new, $60,000 Jeep that you can total with one wrong move? And the insurance company would total it if you did it. Why would you do that? I just don't understand that. So get yourself an old vehicle like my old Chevy. I've got big tires on it. It's got a 6-inch lift in it. That thing will go anywhere. I've had it in mud up to the running boards, and I don't care because it's a 30-something-year-old vehicle that the paint's peeling off of and all the graphics have peeled off of. And, it's got dents in it and scratches and dings. So I don't really care. I'll take that thing anywhere. And that's what I take them to the back roads back here. But a new vehicle, who would want to go rock climb? And you'll see them they'll have winches and auxiliary lights and steel bumpers and all this other stuff. They will have jacked up stuff. And I'm just like, are you actually taking that out and rock climbing with it? Because if you do, you're a dumbass. Or else you just got so much money it doesn't matter. Now, if you got so much money it doesn't matter, fine. But no, Jeep's not the new Subaru. Jeep's still Jeep. Subaru's still the Subaru. You want a good 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive car that will go pretty much anywhere on gravel, dirt, light snow, slick roads, wet roads. Subaru. They're not rock climbers. They're not heavy snow cars, although they'll get through some snow. But, they're still the car you want to go to if you want a comfortable daily driver that can handle adverse road conditions, including gravel and dirt. But Jeep is for, I don't know, it's more for being seen and people thinking you off-road, but I don't know why you would with them. It's just too expensive, too damn expensive to be scratching up the paint and all this other stuff. And the quality's not as good now as it used to be. Although it never used to be real good quality. So I kind of wonder when people say that. I'm like, well, when were they real good quality? I don't think they've ever been real good quality. But yeah. All right, let's make sure we're all caught up here. The Cooper truck tires suck. So he don't get Cooper truck tires, obviously. In a year it ain't gonna be a year when I'm 75. You should recreate the chair from the Silver Bullet. It was able to outrun a werewolf. I question that. I don't think that documentary was fully honest. Because I just don't see that thing outrunning a werewolf, especially how long he took to get going. You saw how long he took to get going. I think he was exaggerating. I don't think that werewolf was trying to hurt him. I think he attacked an innocent werewolf and then fled the scene. But when I saw that movie for the first time, I wanted that thing so fucking bad. I thought that was very cool. Because people thought the movie referred to the silver bullet they used to kill the werewolf. Now, the time the movie was about the souped up boogie he had there. That was the silver bullet. Jeep is the new Lesmobile. No, I still think that's Subaru. Although if I see a woman driving a Jeep, I think that either it's her husband's car or she's a lesbian. But if you see a woman driving a Subaru, even if she's got a husband, she's a lesbian. Why are most of the new Harley Davidson bikes so ugly? Oh, I don't think they're ugly. I think they look nice. I think they look cool. They look classic. They look, I like Harley. I mean, Harley's more about accessories than they are about the actual bike these days. I think it's about like what you can put on it, like what kind of system bar, what kind of saddle bar bags, what kind of handlebars, what kind of seat. I think they're more along those lines. And what kind of accessories do you have to go with it? Do you have the Harley Davidson jacket, Harley Davidson boots, and all that stuff? But I mean, I like them. I still don't dislike them. It depends on which one, how much I like them. But and the most important accessory to get on a Harley Davidson is that big bag that attaches to the back that catches all the parts that fall off as you go down the road. But still like them. That yellow car was handmade. I could tell that wasn't a production, nothing. Got a Chevrolet Trax. It's not too low and not too high. I remember when the Chevrolet Trax came out recently, the newest ones. Hold on and look at it real quick. They were talking about how for the money, that was like the best car on the market. And I got to refresh myself to what they look like here. But they don't look bad. They're kind of a cool looking little car. The 2024s, 2025s, they look pretty cool. And I remember just everybody raving about them. and they're not the cheapest. They're like 25,000, 22 up, but everybody was raving about the Trax when they came out. They're like, it's actually a good economy car. Although I'm like, I don't consider a car in the 20,000s economy, but I guess it is nowadays. My oldest was the 1950 Ford four-door custom with flathead V8, had the high output engine, 1 to 6 compression ratio. It had 115 horsepower. Yeah, it's like my dad said, one of my uncles said the other day, they don't build them like they used to, when we were showing cars, and one of our family members showed a car. He has an old Chevelle or something. And he said, my uncle goes, they don't build them like they used to. And I said, yeah, 6,000 pounds and 120 horsepower. He said, yeah, you haven't got none on that. Because he's always been a car guy too, Monk Gary. He always had nice cars. He always had Chevelles and, the Oldsmobiles, and just, nice cars always. I'm blanking on some of the cars. He had like the Fiats back in the day, the Spiders and stuff like that. And everything he had was a cool car. He never had an uncool car. So I kind of get my car. My dad loves cars too, but like dad didn't raise me, so I didn't really get much of that from him. Yes, I replaced the cat converter for $1,800, but the trans was still burnt out because it was the transmission the whole time. That's what I had a feeling. That's why I said if that was really the problem, because it doesn't seem right to me. I mean, it could, but it don't seem right to me. Mitsubishi's okay as long as you never have to work on it. Had one, the damn alternator belt ran around a motor mount, had to remove motor mount to replace belt. Yeah, they can be. There's always there's a reason there's an ongoing war between mechanics and engineers. They do at Moab all the time. They do what at Moab all the time? Well, yeah, those people are building their own custom vehicles, and they're usually, I think he's talking about they race open Jeeps. Yeah, not most people. 99% of the Jeeps on the road ain't never going to do that. There's some people got more money than they do sense. And most of those people you see out there, they've got some kind of sponsorship to where if they do wreck the vehicle, it gets repaired or fixed or replaced or something. Very few just casual, regular people go out and, get their Ford Raptor airborne, or take their brand new $60,000 Jeep Rubicon and turn it sideways on a rock. Most people don't do that, period. There's very few. Mostly you'll see cars that people have built, or people that have sponsorships and stuff like that. Jeep basically turned to shit when Chrysler, or people have car channels. They do shit like that because those are loaners, and if they damage it, they don't really give a shit. Jeep basically turned to shit when Chrysler bought them. I don't know if it just turned to shit, but I don't think they've gotten any better. Let's just say that. Although I'll say they have gotten better in some ways. They're more comfortable than they used to be. Like my third Jeep was way more comfortable than my first Jeep. The second Jeep was way more comfortable than my first Jeep. Or my second Jeep was more comfortable than my first, and my third was way more comfortable than my second. That's what I should have said there. But I just don't think they're what they used to be, of course. Of course, people always said, Jeep Wrangler would be good if they did this and this and this and this and this and this. And Jeep went, okay, you want all that done? Well, we're not going to fuck up the Wrangler, but here's what the Wrangler would be if we did that and that and that and that and that. And they put that on the market as a Renegade, a little, basically a Jeep that's more road oriented and more friendly to the average person. And they're already discontinuing that because nobody fucking wants it. So it just shows you people don't always want what they say they want. Like, well, why can't they make it ride better on the street? Okay, we made it ride better on the street. Well, why can't they give it better gas mileage? Okay, we gave it better gas mileage. Oh, why can't they make it more comfortable? Okay, we made it more comfortable. And then, okay, here it is. And they're like, oh, I don't want that. That's not a Jeep. Well, you just took out everything that made it a Jeep. And we just showed you didn't want what you really thought you wanted. What would be the Glock equivalent to bikes? Kawasaki KLR 650? No, Kawasaki's awesome. I don't know if there is a bike equivalent to the probably a moped. If I had to find one, probably a moped. Wreck brand new Jeeps. What? Wreck brand new Jeeps. I'm not sure what it means by that. Like rebuilt or something? What are you talking about? My old Jeep Golden Eagle, those were very cool. I love the Eagle one. Oh, also, remember the AMC Eagle? I love that thing. My old Jeep Golden Eagle was a fight just to keep it between the lines over 30 miles per hour. Yes, the old ones were very hard to keep on the road. Even the newer ones. And the newest one I've had was what, 2019, I think? Or was it 2018? Which year did they switch to the JKL instead of the JKU? Or I'm trying to remember what year they switched over to the new style, but yeah, they're not great to keep on the road. You don't so much drive a Jeep as you do wrangle it down the road. So Wrangler's a good name because you're wrangling that bitch down the road constantly. It's not a car that you don't pay attention to when you drive it. You don't just like no, you're not. You're not going over there. No, you're not going to start death spiraling on me. You're going to pay attention. You're not bouncing on me. So yeah, you pay attention when you drive a Jeep. That's for sure. You pay attention to the road. And like I always said, it was one of the worst cars I've ever owned in my life, but I still loved them. They were little. But driving them like from here to Seattle, doing 70 miles an hour on the interstate was terrifying. 70 miles an hour on the interstate in that car was terrifying. You always felt like you were not in full control of the vehicle. The newer ones are supposedly a little better, but I don't think they're great. Let's see here. I think that's caught us up on all the questions. Let me make sure here. Did we get any emails I missed? Welper sent something about the solar fuel thing. I'll look at that later. And I think we're all caught up over here. Last one was Jeffrey Vaughn. I got that one. I think that was about something that was, yeah, he asked me about car mods that were goofy. And that's all the questions in the live chat over here. So I want to say thanks to everyone for showing up for one of our only car chats we've done. Maybe we'll do more in the future. I love talking cars, wrestling, cryptids, guns. I like all that stuff. That's why my open chats, you can talk about anything. But thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who got involved in the conversation. Maybe next time people will know a little more in advance. I only gave you like a few hours in advance today, and people will come in with their car stuff. So hope to see you all at the future car chat. Also, hope to see you tomorrow at our regular chat. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again. I did that bad. Let me say it again, and then we'll do the knife drawing right after. Remember, Ghost Shadow sent in an email right the last fucking minute. I had a Jeep Wrangler. Also, he's got a plow hook to it. Let me see if I can share it here real quick before I get out of here. I'm supposed to be in the house by 7:30, and I am not. But there's his old Jeep with the plow on it. I would like to have one with a plow on it. Who's a Mercedes? Is that over there? Is that a Mercedes? But as I was saying, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody for participating. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Till then, remember, always carry and stay safe. Till I'll see you again.